Yep.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Cody. Meeting is now called to order. Teresa, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Virgo. Here. Trustee Cook.
Here.
Trustee Gray. Here. Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Lazio.
Here.
Trustee Lee Munyon. Trustee Pandolfi.
Here.
Trustee Step. Trustee Theus.
Yes.
Trustee Weezy. Here. Trustee Wilson. Trustee Whitehall. Trustee Wyckoff. Cody, is Michelle on the line?
No, she is not.
Okay. Yeah, quorum.
Okay, thank you. For those who wish to join in, Michael, lead us in the pledge and vacation.
Shall we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, and one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, I'm going to read a few verses out of Psalm 33. And it says, the counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart from generation to generation. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people whom he has chosen for his own inheritance. The Lord looks from heaven, he sees all the sons of men. From his dwelling place, he looks out on all the inhabitants of the earth. He who fashions the hearts of them all, he who understands all their works. So if you wouldn't mind praying with me. Father, we just thank you. Lord, as I read those verses, I almost picture in my mind you looking out over all the earth, and you establish your plans. You have created all of us in this room. So Father, as we engage in business today and in our board meeting, would you be in our midst and help us make decisions with good wisdom from heaven? We thank you for that. In Jesus' name, amen.
I do the approval of the agenda. Is there a second? Second, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, Teresa, would you please call the roll?
I'm sorry.
Call the roll.
Trustee Virgo. Yes. Trustee Cook.
Yes.
Trustee Gray. Yes. Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Lazio.
Yes.
Trustee Pandolfi.
Yes.
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 Trustee Weezy. Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And I move the approval of the consent agendas. Consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Yeah, all in favor, please signify by, Teresa, you please call the roll.
Trustee Virgo. Aye. Trustee Cook.
Yes.
Trustee Gray. Aye. Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Lazio.
Yes.
Trustee Pandolfi.
Aye.
Trustee Theus.
Yes.
Trustee Weezy. Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. I understand there are no visitors' comments. Is that correct? Okay, committee reports, building committee.
This time, we do not have another committee meeting set because our buildings are kind of dealt with right now.
Court finance audit.
Finance met and discussed the budget, and that was it. So that's a separate item.
Yeah, fundraising,
I'm sorry.
fundraising development.
Yes, a few things. To report, a generous donation from an anonymous donor provided funds for the Riverside branch staff to replace and enhance all of their early literacy supplies, the new branch. And we have some photos up on the screen. Kind of look carefully there. That's an awful lot of material. And I think that long strip of paper is the receipt from the person. So lots of wonderful new materials to stock that brand new branch with. The family of Larry Bame, an avid reader and library patron, asked that gifts be made to Macon Public Libraries in his memory. More than $1,200 has been donated in his name. We've had 3 preview tours of recent branch openings. Library lovers have 2, trustees and so on. And also Platte County Commissioner Scott Fricker and Mayor Kathy Rose and some Riverside staff had a special preview of that. Just letting you know, some extra activity there. And then lastly, MCPL development staff attended the International Public Fundraising Foundation meeting from June 9th to 11th at Martin Luther King Memorial Library in Washington, DC, where they learned and shared ideas, best practices for their area of concern, fundraising and development with other libraries. Those are the things we have to share.
Personnel Committee.
Personnel Committee has not met since our last meeting and I don't know what to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. And Technology Committee. Check. Or it's not.
Oh, it's not here. Hey, we didn't meet.
Okay.
Yeah, so did you want me to mention the?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, so we have our next Facing the Future author event this Thursday night at 6 p.m. We have Kashmir Hill. She's a New York Times technology reporter and she's written a new book called Your Face Belongs to Us. It is a true story about facial recognition startup companies and how this technology is advancing without little public knowledge and without a whole lot of us knowing a whole lot about it. And so it's a really good book and it's really eye-opening. So we're looking forward to having her this Thursday to give us the news on it. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. There's registration or just show up. We'll be happy to have you. So yeah.
That's at the Whitney Auditorium.
Woodneath Auditorium. Yes, thank you, Eric.
At what time?
Hmm?
What time was it?
6 p.m. 6 p.m.
Good, thank you. Council report.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Gonna split 2 slides, maybe 3, one more. We'll start with the property tax revenue that's been collected from July 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024. So our 11-month fiscal year, we've collected $65.65 million as compared to $61.59 million the same time frame for the last fiscal year. We're currently at 101.73% of our budget. And this is higher than we were compared to budget last year when we had collected 100.49%. So all things are looking well in our tax front. Go to the next slide, please. This is our general fund cash chart by month. Not much to report here other than the cash balance in the general fund at the end of May was 21.5 million. And we are currently projecting the cash balance at the end of the fiscal year to be 15.9 million. The balance at the end of last fiscal year was 24.8 million. So that would be about an 8.8 million reduction. Moving on to the next slide, looking at the general fund. The general fund has collected $61.87 million. It's a little more than 103% of the budget and has expenditures for the first 11 months of $61.54 million, which is a little over 97%. So we currently have an operating surplus in the general fund of $327,000. On to the next slide, the capital project fund. Trustee Johnson mentioned the the significant portion of the capital project fund is nearing a completion. We have revenue and transfers in of $10.3 million, which is 102.49% of the budget. And we have expenditures for the first 11 months of 12.9 million, which is almost 78% of the budget. And we currently have an operating deficit for the year of $2.6 million. And lastly, the internal service fund, which covers our health insurance. The fund has collected $4.1 million, which is about 91% of the revenue, and has expenditures of $4.4 million, which is about 94% of the expenditure budget. It's currently operating at a deficit of $334,000. And I just want to note that our claims are about 108% of our budget. So claims are running a little higher than we had anticipated when the year. Those are all my comments, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Okay, Aaron, was there any old business or unfinished business?
No,
Okay, then on to new business. Considering that's the budget, we have two ways of approaching this, and this is entirely at the preference of the board. We're going to have a presentation by our executives, and then we take it as a matter to address, or we open it up through motion in a second, and then have the presentation that matter. We're going to do it in either case. We can do everything in either case, but how we do it in sequence is going to be at your call. Do we want to have an overview from Aaron and then we address it, or do you want to open up the topic and?
This is Joyce, and I prefer us having a motion and a vote, then we don't forget later on. Do
Okay,
that.
okay, okay.
We know what's on the table.
Sure. And before us, we have the matter of the 2024-25 budgets. Entertain a motion to address and approve the budget. Address the budget. In a second. Say motion. No, you go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Present.
I'm sorry.
Just for clarification, there's a resolution. It would be appropriate for the motion now.
Yeah, exactly, but do we want to have discussion of the budget or go directly to the resolution? To me, we're going to do both, but the sequence to me is not, what would you recommend?
But just for clarity, so the motion on the floor is the resolution, is this motion, and we're in discussion right now.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So discuss.
The director's presentation. Is that
Sure.
Then I think.
okay, we're happy to go over the budget. I think we were maybe operating with a different understanding. Staff did present the full board, and the full budget to the finance committee, and it was overwhelmingly approved. We're happy to review the key points of this budget. And Jeremy, if just executive summary of what we're proposing today.
Sure, if I could, I just wrote a few notes here. So the budget was first discussed back in March. At that time, Aaron laid out his plan to address the goals that you all had approved. From then, we went to the individual committees, the personnel committee, the technology committee, the building committee, all reviewed various elements of the budget in April and May. In May, we came back to the full board and gave the full presentation that has not changed since that time of the recommended budget for the library. On June 4th, we held a public hearing. And then as Aaron just mentioned, also Trustee Cook, on June 13th, the finance committee took up the entire budget and made a motion to recommend to the full board. So just as a way of introduction, the document you have before you has not changed since that May meeting. It has had additional information added to it to provide hopefully some clarity and some narrative. The latest addition that changed from what we presented at the public hearing to tonight is Aaron's message. So that's been added to this document. But we hope that the public and you all have had a chance to read it. There's a budget summary that goes over, with narrative charts and graphs, all of the different elements of our budget, the revenues, the expenditures. Let's get to a easy page here. So as we discussed in personnel and as we discussed in finance last week. The wages and benefits are the largest portion of our budget, as is typical for government. We have a lot of people that help operate the 34 branches within our district. And so the recommended budget is about 7.7% higher than the current budget. In addition to that, as we outlined in March, we wanted to make sure that we started planning toward our future. And so there's dollars in the budget that are programmed specifically to address headquarters and whether or not this is the adequate location, what it would take to improve this location, and then compare that to what it would cost to either build a new location or find a location that already exists and move, et cetera. So all of that work will be occurring next year. In addition to that, there's funding programmed into this budget to look into providing extra supports to those under-resourced communities that we've talked about at several of our meetings. There's also funding in this budget programmed for technology enhancements, not only to our website, but to the other areas of our business that touch the public. And so I think, I don't want to speak for Aaron, but as a staff, we feel like we've really got a great opportunity to move this organization forward into the next 10, 15, 20 years. It's a starting point. There's a lot of planning and dollars in this budget that will eventually have to turn into operating dollars to see those ideas to fruition. But we believe that we've got a nice footprint to start from. And unless Aaron has anything else to say, I'd say we'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have.
You mentioned, forgive me if you did, but did you mention the plan that we have, we proposed to the Building and Finance Committee to help us address our maintenance needs over the next 10 years?
Did not mention that specifically. I apologize. It is in the document. But yes, the plan that's ending, was sped up by the use of bond funds. So, a very robust capital enhancement program was done in 6 years, primarily by the use of bond funds. We now want to transition to ensure that we have adequate cash to handle the maintenance needs of the 34 branches. So our current 10-year plan highlights those branches that are the older ones in our district that would have been newer when the capital plan that is now ending was being contemplated. So obviously not a lot of money was set aside in that plan for those branches. So this plan is focusing on those branches now, but as we move through the years, 4 or 5 years down the line, we'll need to make sure we're still adequately programming those newer branches that will now be 10 or 15 years old. So this document, I think, is a good first step into the long-range planning that we hope to expand on next year as we look at making sure that we have adequate resources for operations and capital needs.
And if I could just say, the beauty of this budget, if budgets can be beautiful.
They can.
Yeah.
They can.
Is that it kind of upholds this noble tradition of paying it forward, right? It's not just a plan for the next 365 days. It really is a plan for the future. To ensure that we preserve this experience that we cherish so deeply for future generations. So the decisions we make today regarding this budget will affect people that come along after us. And so I'm very grateful for the work that all of the staff did putting this budget together. We've been working on it for a long period of time. And I really do think it'll ensure that this library lives on. And we continue to deliver the highest level of service to the community that we serve.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I just have a couple of questions on the budget. The first one I really couldn't find. What is the amount in the budget for the feasibility study of headquarters?
I believe it is 150,000 in capital plan.
I just couldn't find it. So
On page 34, we have 500,000 total. The 150 was I believe that's right.
Yeah, the professional service.
Yeah. And the rest is setting aside, that next phase, we'll have to start design work regardless of where we go.
Yeah, I just didn't know what was the initial study. Then, well, I guess page 6 of the proposal recommended budget that's balanced. This budget is 2.3 million or 2.88% less than the prior year. Could you explain to me, because I thought we were having an increase, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong columns, but.
Well, so this budget, this page in particular is the entire budget for the library organization. So there were significant dollars invested every year before the upcoming year to finish the capital plan. So that if you look at the capital plan or the capital project fund in particular, just lost that page, excuse me, it is 34. You'll see that's dropping from $13 million this year to $3.9 million next year. So when you look at the library as a whole, not just the general fund, it is a reduction. When you look at the general fund, which is our primary operating fund, it's page numbers, to you. It's pages 32 and 33. And that budget is going from 58.6 million to 64.5 million as we have it illustrated, not only the increase for the pay plan, but also increases for things such as the under-resourced community, maintenance for this facility and branches, and other operating expenditures and technology that we referenced.
I had one other, and it was just here, the one last week. What is, was there a particular reason that we expect Kaufman Foundation to be less in previous year?
So the challenge with our grant and gift fund is that the grant year and our fiscal year don't align. And so I believe what you're seeing in our upcoming budget is the money we've already been given by the Kaufman Foundation that was awarded last year, but bifurcates our fiscal year. I don't believe we anticipated a significant, increase of the Kaufman Foundation as that application process will happen later.
I was just looking at the figures in front, prior year, 2 years. So I understand what you're saying, their fiscal year versus our fiscal year. I think it's really all right.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, we have before us the resolution to approve and adopt incorporating the annual budget and capital budget for the Mid-Continent Public Library for the fiscal year 2024-25. Teresa, will you please call the vote on that?
Trustee Virgo,
Aye.
trustee Cook,
No.
trustee Gray,
Aye.
trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Lazio,
Yes.
trustee Pandolfi,
Aye.
is that a yes? Trustee Pandolfi,
Yes.
trustee Step,
Aye.
that's a yes. Trustee Theus,
Yes.
trustee Weezy, no. Trustee Wykoff,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Aaron, your report.
All right, how are we gonna do this? Well, we have this MCPL monthly, and there's a couple of things I want to bring your attention to. We kicked off our summer learning program in June. We hosted 16 celebrations across the 3 counties with roughly 1,300 community members attending these events. the events included things like games, photo booths, and registration for the program, and something called marshmallow relay races. I've never taken part of one of these relay races, but they sound very enjoyable. So I'll make a point of doing that next year. We also like to call out branches where we have a lot of community support. So Green Valley and Colburn Road, they had visitors from local police and fire departments, including K-9 units. And they offered tours. And I've seen pictures of them. There might be some in there. The kids seem to be having a wonderful time. Our reading rocket, as you know, it's gone live. It made an appearance at Kaufman Stadium. And that was a wonderful event, and we're happy to have that vehicle on the road and making a difference in people's lives. There was another event that happened that I just thought I would mention because we have a position here at Mid-Continent Public Library called Spanish Language Services Librarian. And Carmelita and a coworker named Michael went out to the Kansas City Urban Youth Academy in May. And they engaged with roughly 100 families, many of whom speak Spanish, and they shared information about library resources. So we're very grateful for their service and grateful that we can connect with people in our community. Now we will move on to acknowledgements. Most importantly, Trustee Gregg is celebrating her first year on the library board, and we have the certificate of recognition, which you're free to frame. This right here.
Check.
Yes, the check isn't here. I was maybe that comes in your. Oh, here you got it. Okay, thank you. Teresa. Yeah. Also, but thank you for your service.
thank
You know, it's great to see your face at all of our library openings. We're very grateful to have you stick with us. Also, it's Trustee Virgo's birthday. I believe it's, what is it, 27?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Birthday.
It's interesting. Trustee Virgo and I both are Geminis, and you know what they say, it's that dual personality thing, but I've yet to see the other side of you, so maybe I'll see it when we go to ALA.
Maybe.
So there's that. And so then lastly, there's a number of employees that are celebrating milestones here at the library, but Tiara Dixon, who presented to this board. Oh, we have okay, excuse me. We have an employee spotlight of Christy Sisk. She's very sincere in her intent to provide safety for staff and patrons at MCPL. So Christy is a member of our safety team, and she just does a wonderful job. I don't know if she's here with us tonight, but we're very appreciative of her work. She's out on the road, engaged with staff and the public, calming voice, what could be described sometimes as a chaotic environment. So thanks to Christy. And so next would be Tiara Dixon. And Tiara, she manages our Edgerton, Dearborn, and Camden Point branches. And Tiara's manager, Kristen Stein, wrote this lovely piece about her work that I thought I would read a portion of. Tiara has not only fulfilled every role of proficiency, but has excelled in each one. Her boundless passion for communities she serves has made a great impact on countless lives. Whenever Tiara speaks, it's not just words, it's wisdom, insight, and invaluable lessons that we all can learn from. Her dedication and leadership have been an inspiration to us all. So very appreciative of that. And I can tell you that everything that Kristen said is true. Tiara really is one of our best managers. We're thankful for her service. Quick note, I do just want to remind everyone that there's an exhibit called Crossroads, Change in Rural America, and that's at our Kearney branch. And if you haven't seen it, you need to rush out and see it because it closes, I believe, on the 21st. But Richie and the others have said a lot of great things about the exhibit, and I'm going to make a point to get out there and see it as well. So that concludes my message for today. Again, I do want to reiterate the remarks I made earlier, that I'm just very appreciative of the board's support and staff's support for getting this budget before us today. It's a lot of work and I couldn't have done it without you. Then to the announcements. Tomorrow, June 19th, is the celebration of Juneteenth. And all locations will be closed. However, we do have our Reading Rocket staff at Juneteenth Festival here in the, what is it called, Market Square? What do they call it? The Independence Square? Farmers Market, yeah. So they'll be down there. The 27th through July 1st is our ALA annual conference. And it's my understanding that we have 2 trustees that will be joining us there. And then July 4th is the celebration of Independence Day, and all library locations will be closed. So that concludes my report and my announcements. Am I missing something?
I have a birthday in September.
Oh, you do?
Don't worry about it.
No, we're gonna make a big deal of it now.
Okay, thank you. Any questions there? Right, let's go to the trustees' comments. Anybody?
Yeah, comments. Thanks for all the hard work. Great job, everyone, I think, and so appreciate it, just the way you laid it out. Thanks, Jeremy, for all your communications. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Comments?
I just kept putting, since our last meeting, we've opened 2 new branches. I've had the pleasure of spending about, I've lost track, 8 or 9 hours, I think, at East Independence doing studying. And while there, I get to watch the flow of people in and out, and I'm thrilled with the traffic that branch is getting already. It's exciting, and the staff is excited, and patrons who are coming in. You can just overhear conversations inside and how thrilled they are with how the branch looks and functions and the features that it has available to them. And how many kids are finding what they need there, and adults too, and those of us who are hitting the laptops and books, studying for college classes, things like that, and just finding it wonderful. So many thanks to staff for all of the attention to detail that has gone into the branches. They're not just beautiful, but they are functional and clearly meeting a need.
Any comments? Please.
I am one of the few board members here that was here when they crafted the original capital projects program. And when we looked at this daunting task and realized it would take a generation before we'd be able to touch each building, we rolled up our sleeves and found a way to whittle that down to 6 years. And if you want to look at what 6 years and 34 projects look like, I have one of these from every single opening. And thank you to the voters, and thank you to the community for making the world accessible to everyone.
Any comments?
One more about Riverside, just what a great day it was to see everyone out of Riverside, and that one's personal for me. Never thought I'd be standing in Riverside dedicating a library when I first moved to Kansas City in 1969, and Riverside was our first apartment, my wife and I. It's like, it was kind of surreal actually for me personally, but the place is beautiful. And I was driving through there yesterday, and I drove by the old location, and it's like there's such an amazing difference between that old rundown kind of place, and then you look at the new place. It's just night and day, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And not only that, it's on the monarch butterfly fly zone.
Yeah.
Just an extra little tidbit in case you wondered. Yes, Jim.
Yeah, I just wanted to, this is relevant context. 1,600 people went through the doors at Riverside the first 2 days, so.
That's amazing.
1,600 people did not go through the doors those 2 days last year.
No. And no runaway baby carts from the slanted part.
Any other comments? Okay, I'll finish it up. I just wanted to tie into what I said earlier about Riverside. The opening, the presentation that Emily and everybody did was simply wonderful. I had a chance to go back the next day, and in late morning, there were just such signs of vibrant life. There were old people like me going, hobbling in, and young parents bringing their kids. A lot of preschoolers who couldn't read themselves, nonetheless, they were taking advantage of the assistance of parents or guardians. And I got inside, there were little kids who were barely able to get on the chairs themselves, but nonetheless, they were on these color coordinated keyboards for the computers and tapping into this impossible computer stuff, and other parents reading to the kids. And this is late morning. It was not time I think it's possible necessarily to get kids at that age up and going. But there was a steady stream of traffic literally the day after the dedication and official opening of that branch. And then in contrast to what Michael said, the old place, I stopped going there when they had flows of water across the floors, it's like a grotto, you know, it was absolutely due to be replaced and renovation, so it's not the option. And to reiterate what Mike also mentioned, too, thanks to everybody in the staff and the committees and certainly the input from the branch management that ultimately is the source of how the numbers got to this building and all the work for the budget. So any other comments or? Okay, the next motion then would be for the adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify